Remember when Konami used to make and publish iconic games? Good times. Good times that will likely never get back. Games like Metal Gear Survive and Contra, the new one, I forget what it's even called, and the mobile games that they've released, they've all been an unfortunate occurrence for these franchises, to put it lightly, to put it mildly. And that's on top of all of the ways Konami has exploited those iconic IPs for their pachinko endeavors. And now, Pro Evolution Soccer, many of you may have heard, is getting something of a rehash. It's no longer Pro Evolution Soccer, it is now eFootball, a free-to-play, digital-only soccer game that I guess is trying to compete with the likes of EA's FIFA. It was announced back in July of 2021. It's due out on major consoles, PC, and mobile. It's built on the Unreal Engine, and right down here, we can see some of the things we can expect at launch. Local matches featuring the likes of Barcelona, Juventus, Bayern, and Manchester United will be available for free at launch. And that's about it. This is very much a shell that they're launching. Later in August is when we'll finally get crossplay between all consoles and PC, alongside a team building mode, which is most likely eFootball's take on something like Ultimate Team, or as it was known in Pro Evolution Soccer, My Club. And on top of that, online leagues where you take your original team and compete in a global competitive league. Basically, gamble for the best players so you have the best chance of properly competing against those who've also paid boatloads of money on player packs. There's also what looks like a battle pass in there. It's called Match Pass System, and with it you earn items and players by playing the game. Though, as is the case with any kind of monetization system, grinding through gameplay is a far more excruciating, far more long-winded process, and that's intentionally done so that players will be incentivized to throw their arms up in frustration and impatience and spend money to fast-track their way towards something more reasonable. And as if all that wasn't enough, the monetization on top of this game releasing very featureless, Konami is planning to sell individual game modes. The quote that they provided was, "In the future, certain game modes will be sold as optional DLC, giving players the freedom to build an experience that follows their interests." Of course, Konami would do this. I mean, this is the same company that tried to charge for essentially save files in Metal Gear Survive. But seriously, Konami, you're already monetizing through microtransactions and loot boxes, and you want to monetize more? You've even got battle passes in there. Stuff that should be paying for all of the gameplay features and additions and content that should be made available for everyone so that everyone is part of a unified and consistent ecosystem. And right here you can see the roadmap for everything that's coming to this game and just how bare bones it is starting out. Now, the roadmap doesn't show any of the offline modes that Konami will be selling separately, which likely suggests those are coming starting next year. No details on pricing, but selling game modes in a free-to-play game is just unacceptable, especially when your game is as heavily monetized as this will be. Optics aren't helped by the fact that Konami is very clearly just rushing this to launch, to the point where Konami even admits that at launch, the eFootball game will basically be an early demo. So in an FAQ that they released on Twitter here, Konami asked itself, is early autumn launch basically a demo? In many ways, yes. We want people to get hands-on with eFootball as soon as possible, so we will launch with a limited number of teams and modes. Exact details to follow. They're straight up admitting that they're rushing this game to launch in a bare-bones state, in an incomplete, underbaked state, so they can just get this out as soon as possible, which just seems like a dumb strategy. This is how you don't make a good first impression. eFootball's launch will be so bare bones, in fact, that when it releases, it's not going to have certain mechanics and animations in place. Some of eFootball's new gameplay mechanics, animations, and even kicks won't be in at launch. We're not even talking about content, we're talking about mechanics and visual elements like animations that will also be incomplete when this game launches. The new control ball trapping feature, which will only be available post-launch. And then there's a new feature called Sharp sharp kicks, which comes with new animations that also won't be available at launch. And as if the monetization in place for this game with a combination of microtransactions, loot boxes, battle passes, and separately sold offline modes wasn't bad enough, alongside the fact that this is a rush game that's going to be bare bones, literally incomplete in more ways than just content, but also mechanics and animations. More recently, Konami has begun to sell pre-orders for loot boxes. There are a number of headlines that have been making the rounds along the lines of Konami selling a £33 eFootball premium player pack you can't use until November. PS's free-to-play successor eFootball has a $40 DLC pack that cannot be used for 2 months. And finally, Konami rolls out loot box pre-orders, which is the most basic way to summarize what's going on here. This is essentially a microtransactions and loot box pre-order that's already up on the PlayStation Store. It's called the eFootball 2022 Premium Player Pack. It's $40. And then below that, you've got the description that outlines exactly what's included. Alongside the core game, which is free to download anyway, you've got 2,800 eFootball coins, the premium in-game currency, 6 chance steals, which are essentially the name given to this game's loot boxes. A chance steal item allows you to sign one of 16 top-tier ambassador and partner club players. Chance steals will expire on April 30th, 2022. So these specific chance steals that you get from this pre-order pack, you have to use them by end of April 2022. Players signed via a chance steal can only be used in eFootball 2022. This bullet point is important. The fact that they're giving eFootball yearly labels like 2022, 2023, on top of the fact that certain elements of monetization and the items that you earn will be limited to a year of eFootball, I guess a season of eFootball, suggests that they plan to do what FIFA does, which is reset the microtransactions and loot box stuff that you've earned, all the gambling that you've done, all the items that you've earned, wipe the slate clean every year. Now, EA does this by annualizing FIFA and releasing a new game every year, as if it were a separate game, though it's essentially the same game that could have easily just been a patch update. And they do this so that players have to purchase a new game, and so that's an extra $60 to $70 per person. And on top of that, they get to say, this is a new game, your stuff doesn't carry over, you have to purchase microtransactions and re-gamble for all of your rewards. It is a con to squeeze more money out of players to get them to repurchase everything all over again. And the fact that eFootball's loot box rewards have an expiration of basically until eFootball 2022 ends suggests that while this is a free-to-play game and they're not going to be selling this game at, full price every year like how FIFA does it, it does seem like they're gonna wipe the slate clean and reset everything every year and force players to repurchase everything with each new season, with roster updates and all that jazz. Now, one thing that eFootball does better compared to FIFA is the fact that if this bullet point is being understood properly, when it says you will randomly sign a player from the player list which you have not yet signed, it suggests that there are no duplicates in these loot boxes, so you will always get a new player every time you gamble, which means there's only so much you can spend on these before you actually do have all the players, but we're still talking substantial money. I mean, just this player pack alone is $40 and offers 6 loot boxes, 8 if you pre-ordered. So let's say you have to purchase 2 of these to sign all 16 top-tier ambassador and partner club players. That's $80 just for this batch, and no doubt they're going to add tons more players down the line, and no doubt that cost will rack up. So better than EA is not a high bar to meet. It's still bad. Better than EA doesn't make you good, it just makes you better than the worst possible scenario. And as for the bit about how the coins and the loot boxes that you pre-order through this package cannot be used anyway until 2 months after release, chance steals and eFootball coins can only be claimed and used after the update scheduled for mid-November of 2021. So you're pre-ordering something that you can't use during the game's launch anyway. You have to wait 2 months, and that's assuming that the roadmap goes well, and we have seen how many roadmaps for AAA games have been woefully derailed. More specifically, the 6 loot boxes that you get from this package, and you get 8 loot boxes if you pre-order. This will be usable starting November 11th, 2021, and then the premium in-game currency, the eFootball coins that this package grants you, will be usable starting November 18th. And this is a game that launches on September 30th, so about a month and a half after launch is when you actually can take advantage of this thing that Konami is telling people they can pre-order, and it's content that you don't even need a pre-order because this is digital goods that are literally unlimited in supply. There will never be enough demand for the premium player pack to run out. And with all the conversation surrounding scummy monetization in sports games in particular, Konami tried to pretend like they're different and that they're gonna be consumer friendly by stating the platform's new monetization model will be rebalanced to ensure that all players can reach the same potential regardless of how they acquire in-game items. They actually have the audacity to claim that those who grind for the loot box rewards versus those who just purchase them outright will be on even footing, when we all know for a fact that those who are grinding, it'll take an unreasonable amount of time to reach the position and prowess that paying players can easily reach and fast track their way to by just shelling out a bunch of money. The fact that they're even trying to pretend that the game will be fair for everyone, including players who just want to earn items through gameplay without paying extra, is freaking laughable. In a game that is selling modes separately and calling itself free to play, on top of implementing microtransactions, loot boxes, battle pass, and on top of rushing the game out to launch, knowing full well that it's basically just a demo that is incomplete, this game is already checking off every bullet point indicating that this game is for the payers, not for the players. And this is a game coming from Konami, the company that has utterly butchered their most iconic franchises like Metal Gear, Castlevania, Silent Hill, you name it, relegating them to pachinkos or relegating them to games that are ill-suited for the IP, with the one good news being the rumors that Konami is finally thinking of licensing IPs like Metal Gear and Silent Hill to other studios who will actually do them justice. But Konami itself, well, they're still Konami. And from the looks of how they're handling eFootball, Konami be Konamiing. And in turn, hashtag fuck Konami. Or at least that's one man's take on everything I've seen in regards to eFootball and its latest developments. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on all of this. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.